Welcome everyone to myota's new webinar series. It's really exciting that we're doing these and excited to have you all here. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Dr. Caitlin Hall. I'm a registered dietitian specializing in digestive disorders. I also have a PhD looking at the relationship between the gut microbiome, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and brain health. And I now work as head of clinical research at myota to study how we can improve and enhance our gut microbiome to support overall health. So today I'll be talking about the secrets of gut health. And spoiler alert, there really aren't any secrets. I think social media, food companies, TikTok influencers have all made it seem like these secrets exist, that there are silver bullets or secret hacks to optimize gut health. And this is simply not the case. I hear from customers on a daily basis that they've been told to avoid grains, soy, dairy, lectins, and so on. And these restrictive diets are leaving our gut in a much worse place than before. And we know that when our gut health is poor, this often manifests as a number of different digestive symptoms like constipation, diarrhea, bloating, trapped wind, cramps, or stomach pain. Our immune system also suffers too, so this can result in higher inflammation and increased susceptibility to infections and pathogens. Our mental health is affected, often is low mood, stress, poor focus and concentration. And poor gut health can also affect our metabolic health. So really low energy, changes in appetite and hunger, and also your exercise capacity. There's also a very clear research link between gut health and a number of different chronic conditions. So things like type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, inflammatory bowel diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, colon cancer, and even depression. And what the research is starting to show is that if we target the gut through lifestyle and diet, we can start to see real change in all aspects of our life. And this is not to say that all digestive diseases can be treated with diet alone. We need to know when to seek professional help. But what I'm talking about today is the general principles of the human gut so that you can be informed and make decisions about your own health. But to talk about gut health, I think we first need to understand exactly what we mean by that. In fact, when I talk about gut health, I'm not just referring to digestion. Actually, more often than not, I'm referring to the gut microbiome. So what is the gut microbiome? Well, from the top of your head to your toes, you are covered in trillions of microbes. In fact, on your thumb alone, there are more microbes than there are people in the UK. And the largest concentration of these microbes exist within your colon or large intestine, where there are trillions of bacteria, fungi, archaea, and viruses. And these microbes, they've been around for a lot longer than humans have. I think we tend to forget that. And there's never been a time where humans have existed without our gut microbes. And these microbes are not exactly living rent-free. They've become a really key part in maintaining our health. After all, it's in their best intentions to keep their host, which is us, happy and healthy, because at the end of the day, it's their home too. So these microbes help us do a number of things. They digest food and absorb nutrients. They protect us from pathogens. They affect our metabolism, our immune health. In fact, 70% of our immune cells are located in the gut. They affect our hormone balance, our brain health, our mood, and cognition. In essence, they're this really beautiful ecosystem where the biodiversity of microbes exist together in balance and harmony. And they're all bringing something to the table and contributing to that ecosystem. So let's fast forward through human history to today. And the gut microbiome is still a really crucial aspect of human health. But here's the thing. Over the years, we've made it more and more difficult for our microbial friends, our gut bacteria, to do good work for us. We take antibiotics more frequently. We're a lot more stressed. We're sitting for 10 or more hours a day. We live in a world where we spend 90% of our time indoors and a whole lot less time outdoors in nature. But most importantly, we're eating a lot more processed, ready-to-go foods. So foods high in saturated fat, in sugar and salt. And instead, we're eating a whole lot less plants in our diet. So fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. And these foods are the main dietary source of fiber. So the UK diet is becoming completely devoid of fiber sources. And why is this important, I guess? So, as we've always been told that fiber is just roughage. So it helps you to stay regular. It's what we give to grandma to help her go to the toilet. And that's important. It's great for relieving constipation and bloating, but there's so much more to fiber too. So prebiotic fiber is the exclusive food source for our microbes. It's their rocket fuel. And when they break down fiber, they produce really important substances for health. And these are called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs for short. And short-chain fatty acids are really important for the gut. They help to strengthen the gut lining, so reducing intestinal permeability, or what some people call leaky gut. They also reduce inflammation, not only in the gut, but throughout the whole body. They regulate appetite through secreting important gut hormones. And they even boost mood and cognition by communicating with the gut-brain axis. And long-term short-chain fatty acid production has been shown to reduce the risk of several chronic diseases like heart disease, colon cancer, and type 2 diabetes. Okay, so take a step back. This is what we've learned so far. Number one, poor gut health is linked to a number of digestive, immune, metabolic, and mental health symptoms. Number two is that we know our gut microbes play a very active role in maintaining our health. Number three, in particular, they produce very important substances called short-chain fatty acids that are linked to a number of different benefits. So number four is, how do we support our gut microbes to maximize the production of short-chain fatty acids? And you've probably already guessed it, but it's through high fiber foods. And a really great study to kind of demonstrate this is the largest study to date, where researchers looked at the links between lifestyle factors and the gut microbiome. And the single most powerful predictor of a healthy and biodiverse gut microbiome was the diversity of high fiber plants in your diet. And specifically, the advice that we now give is to aim for at least 30 different plants a week. So you might be thinking, why do we need 30 different plants? Why not just aim for the total amount of fiber, the 30 grams that we're all recommended? And the answer is both are important. So you need enough of that 30-gram target a day, but also different types of prebiotic fibers for optimum gut health. And one of the main reasons for this is because our gut bacteria are in fact quite picky eaters. They don't all want broccoli. So some bacteria will prefer to break down fiber from apples, and others will prefer to break it down from oats. And it's really important to feed them with the types of fiber that they want and need. Otherwise, they won't be producing short-chain fatty acids, and you won't be getting the most from your microbiome. So now that I've given some of the context, the role of the gut microbiome and the role of fiber, there are some rules when we're increasing fiber in our diet. And many of you have probably experienced some of these before. The first being, when increasing fiber in your diet, you must do so slowly and gradually. So you're going to gradually build up over time to allow your gut to adjust to that extra fiber load. During this time, you might also experience some differences in terms of your digestive system. You might get a bit of extra bloating or wind, and this is just a sign that your gut bacteria are fermenting the fiber and producing those short-chain fatty acids. So in fact, the extra wind is sometimes a good thing to look out for. The second thing you should do while increasing the fiber in your diet is to increase the fluid intake. And this allows everything to move nicely through the digestive system. The third thing is to be active and move your body for at least 30 minutes a day. And this again is just to help everything move and to make sure that things are moving through the digestive system well. And the last one is to just spend time outdoors. So your microbes love to have green spaces and nature. So getting out and finding some time to do that is really important. So there are our recommendations for today. And I know that there were a few questions that have popped up over this call. I'm just having a look at them now. Okay, so the first one that I might answer is, if you already eat a diversity of fruits and veggies, do you need a supplement too? Okay, so you know what? The answer to this is actually yes and no. So fiber supplements are a really useful tool in medical nutrition therapy and are benefit from a symptom relief perspective, but also from a general gut health perspective too. So even if you don't have any gut health issues, then no, technically you can get all the fiber you need from a diversity of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. The problem is getting enough of the right types of fiber is actually really difficult in practice. And this is especially if you don't have the time, energy, or motivation to cook a diversity of different plant-based meals every day. And this is also particularly important because different sources of prebiotic fibers, they're found in very small quantities in foods. So to really reap the benefits from a microbiome perspective, a supplement can be a really beneficial tool. Okay, so what is the gut-brain axis? Oh, cool. I'm glad someone asked this. Okay, so the gut-brain axis refers to the two-way bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain. And it achieves this communication through a number of overlapping pathways. The most commonly referred to one is the vagus nerve. So this is a long projection, almost like a superhighway between your gut and your brain. And we know that the gut microbes themselves and also the short-chain fatty acids, particularly one called butyrate, signal to the brain via this vagal nerve. But the communication between the gut and brain is also achieved through the bloodstream, through hormones, and also via endocrine pathways as well. Okay, so what is the difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic, and when should I take it? Another great question. Okay, so the prebiotic, as we've discussed, that is the fiber in our diet. So specific types of fiber that are fermentable, so ones that can be digested and broken down by our beneficial gut bacteria. And I guess they're the ones that are able to have those big changes in terms of gut health from a short chain fatty acid perspective. I recommend prebiotics to everyone, as you've probably guessed at this point. Probiotics, on the other hand, are the live microorganisms that you can consume as part of a probiotic capsule or even in some fermented foods like kefir, kombucha, and sauerkraut. I generally don't recommend probiotic capsules or high dose supplements to people unless they have really specific gut health conditions like something called antibiotic associated diarrhea. For general health, a probiotic is probably not going to do a whole lot of difference. Okay, so I have to follow a low FODMAP diet. Can I still take myota? This is a great question and one that we receive quite a lot. So a lot of the things that I've talked about in this webinar today, going for a diversity of different high fiber foods, things like onions, leeks, garlic, some of those foods are a high FODMAP, so they're not appropriate for people who need to follow a low fat diet or have irritable bowel syndrome. For these people, you need to find sources of fiber that are also low FODMAP, but are going to feed your beneficial gut bacteria. So more slowly fermented fibers is what I would recommend here. Some really nice examples are something called PHGG, which is called partially hydrolyzed guar gum. Sounds a bit weird, but it is derived from guar beans. And it's a really beneficial fiber that can help relieve those tricky digestive symptoms, but also restore and feed the gut microbiome as well. So the myota gut booster is the one that you should be going for because we've got it low FODMAP certified by Monash University. Okay, the next question is, how do I know if my gut is healthy or if I need to be doing something to improve my gut health? Okay, so to answer the first part of the question, how do I know if my gut is healthy? That's actually a great question. And there's a couple of ways or indicators that you can look at to tell how your gut's tracking. The first one is to look at your poo. Poo can give us really important insights into how your gut and digestive system is functioning, specifically looking at the consistency. So there's something called the Bristol stool chart that a lot of experts use, which ranks different consistencies of poos along a scale. Essentially, you want your poo to be kind of smooth, almost like a snake consistency is how they describe it. But essentially, this should also be accompanied by not needing to strain, feeling like you've completely evacuated. so your bowels are empty and you won't need to go again, and that it's not too watery or not too hard. So somewhere in between that. That's one way that you can see if your gut is healthy. The second thing you can do is something like a gut microbiome test. So Myota's just released our gut microbiome test kit. What it tells you is the diversity of different types of gut bacteria you have, the composition, so which types you have more of and less of. But I guess the most important part from the testing perspective is to see which types of fibers your gut bacteria are able to ferment effectively, and therefore ways that you can improve your short chain fatty acid production. So that's probably the largest benefits that you get from these types of tests, which is an exclusive property to the myota one. It's not found on the market at the moment. However, they're not diagnostic tools. So you still need to get proper investigations if you do think you've got something like celiac disease or inflammatory bowel disease. So just a little note there. Okay, so I'm just looking at the last question. So fiber is a lot of carb-heavy foods, so that can't be very healthy. Will I put on weight if I increase my intake of fiber? This is an interesting question. So I guess fiber is quite distinct to what people classify typically as carbohydrates. So carbohydrates tends to, I mean, it encompasses fiber and a lot of other nutrients, but carbohydrates as a macronutrient, generally we're referring to the starch. So something that humans can digest and break down and get energy from. The fiber component of carbohydrates is indigestible. So humans cannot digest it, and we typically don't yield any energy or calories from fiber. Instead, it passes right through to our large intestine, our colon, where we know it's broken down and fermented by our gut bacteria. And a lot of the energy that's yielded by this process is actually used to support the gut lining. So the lines of the gut are called colonocytes, and their exclusive energy and fuel source is by these short chain fatty acids from the breakdown of fiber. So there is research showing the complete opposite to what the question has raised. So short chain fatty acids are known to stimulate some gut hormones which reduce your appetite, and also the mechanical benefits of fiber in itself is reducing the release of blood sugar from foods, reducing the cholesterol of foods, keeping your stomach feel fuller for longer. So there's these really different mechanisms that fiber can actually support and assist with weight management as well. So that's, not a way that fiber works is increasing weight. That's not true. I think that's probably all the time we have for questions. If you do have other questions, please feel free to email us or drop us a note with those questions, and I'll make sure to answer those either on the next webinar or via Instagram or Facebook. So thank you so much again for listening to this webinar. It's really been a pleasure to do. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.
If you'd like to learn more about how myota can support your gut health, head to our website and redeem your special discount, Gut Secrets, for 20% off your first purchase.